Thank you for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am music producer Achickwitbeatz,
And I'm entrepreneur Breezy Gipson.
and we're glad that you've joined us today. We're still celebrating Women's History Month, and that's always fun to do, highlighting some of the incredible women that we've had on the show so far. And of course, there's beats by yours truly and music industry news. So I'm really excited about it. How about you?
Yeah, there's always a pocket of a big pot to stir up with some great ingredients, and today's no different. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yes. All right. So, without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and give the show to you. Let's go.
All right then.
All right. We're back with music industry news. Come to find out, SoundCloud is testing a TikTok like feed for music discovery. So, their Discover page is going to show songs based on your listening history and musical tastes. And it's also going to have an explanation for the recommendations. So that way you're not wondering why the heck it's there. So, we're seeing a lot more of this kind of coming around. TikTok has been influencing everything. But because of its success, now we're seeing music companies start to emulate this, which I think is actually a really good thing. Instead of just constantly having the algorithm feed the same things to you. At least that way, there'll be more independent artists in the mix. Now, SoundCloud, even though that's typically, pretty filled with independent artists, it's good for them to do that too, because there are a lot of major artists kind of taking up a huge chunk of that space. So hopefully it'll mean more discovery for independent artists.
Well, just think, if we could have been a fly on the wall when the guys or ladies or whomever it was first started sketching out the idea for TikTok. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a difference. What a difference from when they started that. Just the creative ideas all the way up to now. Oh man, it's like
Yeah.
all of the spin-offs, all of the attention, all of the involvement, all of the money making, all of the everything. Oh my gosh. So, business success. And
Yeah.
we're globally.
Yeah. And, like you were saying, to be in the room, um, theoretically, that could be any of us at any given point. Like, you don't know
Yeah.
if your next, your idea, the thing that you've been kicking around in your head could really take off the same way that happened. So, as Breezy always says, you got to surround yourself with the right people. And yeah, go ahead and act on that stuff because you never know what else is waiting to be birthed from your idea.
Right. And when it comes to those, surrounding yourself to the right people, you got to keep your antennas on them, keep them turned on, your sonar, your radar, because if there's any negativity in that group of people that you surround yourself with, oh my God, okay, there's an old phrase it's called study long, study wrong. Okay, so if you receive some negativity from any of the people that you chose to surround yourself with, and now there's a difference between negativity and creative concern, creative support, creative what's the word where they
like
constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Okay, but see, if you start feeling that negativity, any negativity, you have to put that on the magnifying glass and make sure. And if that's not totally supportive of you 100%, then hey, you got to press the button.
Right.
You got to press the button. Because if you don't, the longer you wait, then that's
And yeah, and like you said, like in order to know the difference, it's really helpful to consider the source. So who's telling you this? What have they done that's comparable? Should they be giving you this advice? Or, that's really one quick way to tell. So if you've always got somebody saying, maybe you shouldn't do this, maybe you shouldn't do that, but you've noticed that they're not doing anything, then yeah, that's the type of criticism that you don't necessarily need to pay attention to. So yeah, that's a great point. Good way to tell the difference from creative concern and constructive criticism. Man, tongue twister.
Push the button and keep on going with your own positive ways. Just push the button, keep on keeping on.
Yeah, for sure.
And that other phrase, hey, this ain't, I'm friends. I'm friends with you and everything, but this.
Yep. Hey. No shame in that game at all.
This ain't personal. It's just business.
Yep. And here's some good news is that Spotify they're closely approaching $40 billion in all-time payouts to the music industry. So they claim that they pay 70% of every dollar it generates from music to the rights holders. Now, this includes the labels, publishers, distributors, performance rights organizations, collection societies, and so forth, who then actually pay the artists and songwriters based on the agreed terms. So if you listen closely to this verbiage, they were very careful in how they stated this. It's kind of like, hey, this is how much we pay out. If you don't feel like you're getting paid enough, these are the people you kind of need to look to, which is accurate because, we've heard about labels doing artists dirty as far as streaming royalties go. But on top of that, it kind of got me to thinking, well, if they've paid out close to 40 billion, so they're not quite there yet, and we're talking all time, I was kind of curious how much they've been earning. So their revenue since 2013 has actually been 55.79 billion. So, that's still kind of a big gap. So I don't think that they're completely out of the clear, even though they're kind of pointing fingers at everybody else. But hey, time will tell. We'll see as things change, because as we shared last week and a few weeks before, that everybody's kind of pushing for this artist-centric royalties, so that way we can do away with the pro rata, which means more money for the people who have actually done the work to get it. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But hey, 40 billion is nothing to just kind of ignore or push under the rug. That's a huge deal, and hopefully we can see some more improvements in that area.
Yeah, hopefully, so we'd be optimistic about it, and just optimistic, supportive, and inquisitive, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, And no diss to Spotify, because we're now actually recording on or utilizing the Spotify for Artists to distribute the podcast. So no offense to the big bosses who might be listening, but
Woo-hoo! Shout out to Spotify.
Yeah. All right, former Apple Music Global Creative Director Larry Jackson has announced that he's launched a new music company called Gamma. So, that's a big deal, that he's got some industry stripes on his side, and along with Ike Yusuf, who's also another music industry vet. Their company is based in Los Angeles, but they've got offices in London and NYC. And the company plans to work with musicians and other creators on all of their creative output. So this includes music, videos, films, podcasts, fashion, or anything that they can basically dream up. So they're calling themselves kind of like a farm to table sort of deal, to where they're supposed to be helping all along the whole process. So this will be kind of interesting to watch and see how this comes together. I'm kind of excited about it, and they've already got some more big stuff coming up. For instance, just in case you missed it, Snoop Dogg returned the Death Row catalog to streaming services, and guess who he chose to do that with? Gamma. So now that it's on streaming services, this was the same week that they actually made the announcement that they were going to be working with a lot of people. Gamma says that the partnership is a long-term licensing agreement, so it grants them the exclusive worldwide rights to market and distribute the Death Row Records catalog. So how about that?
Yeah. I mean, and we've said many a times about reaching out to the young musicians on the street, okay, who are thinking about, hey, well, I want to make this hot in my hood and everything. No. You got to think big. Go global. Don't just be satisfied that, people on the block can hear your stuff. I mean, that's all fine and good when you're first starting.
Right.
But just keep the pedal to the metal so that you can get some progress going in there, and some awareness going in there, and some distribution going on in there. And hey, you can make your sound global.
Absolutely.
And the more ears, and the more chances for somebody to purchase your creative work, and some of that goes in your pocket. So hey,
yeah, absolutely.
So shout out to Snoop. For doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that you bring that up, because I come across so many artists that actually don't have their music available online. So you're definitely stifling your potential by not doing that. So what good is it if it doesn't go outside of your hood? Like, chances are there are people outside of your hood that actually need your art. So if you're one of those nervous people that I've come across, go ahead and do it. There's so many resources out there. All you have to do is, hit your search engine real quick, check it out, see what's available. There are even some free options to distribute your music, or even, best case, Bandcamp, if you don't want to do anything else. But make sure that you get your art out there, just like Breezy said, so more ears can hear it.
Yeah, I mean, the more the merrier, because that's just a logical progression, and the more people hear it, the more chances for something to break on a larger level for you. So, and Absolutely. So the larger level break won't come if you don't have it out there.
Absolutely. I was actually just reading a post that Steve Stout made. So it was a clip from a Billboard article, to where they were talking about this particular artist who, the song just started kind of blowing up, but he hadn't properly cleared the sample that was in the song, so it was removed from some streaming services, not all. But since he actually used United Masters to do it, they started tracking how well the song was doing once it hit like a certain amount of numbers. And then after that happened is when they stepped in to try to give him more priority and more exposure. But the song had to be hot first, before actually stepping in. So you never know. Just put it out there, So now they've actually done the work to make sure that it was returned to streaming services. And they said that they're even going to step it up to try to regain some of that momentum he was getting before that. So yeah, do the work. You never know who's watching and who's going to jump in to kind of help you out.
That's right. That's right. Well, become a creative factory and put your stuff everywhere. You know, see what sticks. See what, you know, somebody, you know, it turns into a hook for somebody. You know, just stay on the grind.
Right. And U.S. recorded music revenues are up 6% to $15.9 billion. So that was the grand total for 2022. And so this was actually the sector's retail revenues. So their wholesale revenue, which includes the money that actually makes it into the record industry, was up 5% to $10 billion. So, I mean, that growth, of course, is attributed to streaming, which accounts for 84% of the U.S. market's recorded music revenues. So, I mean, that's a huge percentage. Another reason why you should make sure that you're on streaming services so you can get a part of that, because that's how, you know, 84% of the U.S. consumes music. So those are very helpful statistics to know. Make sure that you keep that in mind when you're thinking about distributing your music. And yeah, by the way, that dollar amount, most of that actually comes from paid for streaming services. So that brought in 77% of the streaming income, which means that more people are actually paying for Spotify, Apple Music, and all this. Well, I mean, you had to pay for Apple Music, but instead of using the ad-supported versions of these, people are actually shelling out money, which means that the music is important to them, that they're willing to pay in order to have access to everything that they want to hear.
Well, you know, I gotta say to the listeners right now, Achickwitbeatz has stressed over and over and over and over and over again to the artists, to you, the listeners, the artists, indie artists, professional artists, whatever level. Make sure your stuff is correct legally. Make sure you don't omit any crossing of the T's and dotting of the I's and whatever. Take the steps. If you don't know the steps, then get with somebody that does know the steps. You may have to come out of your pocket to do it, or you may just research on your own, and after you conclude, you know, what you need to do, have somebody come behind you and check that. Okay, it's, you know, that old music meme with one artist approaching Prince about let's do a hey, can we work together?
Yeah, do you own your masters?
Prince says, do you own your masters? He just whoa. Okay, so it wasn't going to work with you. It wasn't going to work if the person wasn't correct.
Right. And I actually appreciate how often that artist shares that, because it shows, you know, other artists coming up, like, this is how important this is. I missed this opportunity. Because I feel like anytime he gets interviewed, he kind of brings that up, and you can never hear that enough, to be honest. So, yeah.
Oh, well.
Yep.
And so we're very kind here on the Music Marvels show. We won't give the person's name out. Okay? You know, it's just somebody all of us know. Hey, all of us. Hey, that's all of us have been there before. So you know, it's just to make fun of anybody. This is just to bring things to light. So that
yeah, some stuff you just gotta chalk up to the game. You know, especially if you're just doing it, you kind of learn as you go along. But the good news is that when people make mistakes like that and they actually make it public, that means you don't have to bump your head the same way they did. You kind of got a heads up from them. Nothing like experience that you didn't have to go through the tough part of. So, yeah, word to the wise.
Word to the wise.
All right, this is pretty cool. Vinyl Records outsold CDs for the first time since 1987. So, you know, again, 2022 was a stellar year for music, but vinyl records sold 41 million units, which outpaced CDs at 33 million. And so, according to the RIAA, Vinyl record sales compose 71% of all physical music format revenue, and it's consistently been increasing over the last 16 years. But, in addition to vinyl, physical formats in general have increased 4%, bringing in $1.7 billion last year. So it's just kind of showing you that people do actually still want physical copies, although streaming is still the bulk, like what you just shared earlier. But people still want that connection to be able to hold it in their hands, look at it, look at liner notes, stare at the artwork, or even just have it on display. People are into it, so that's another avenue for you to pursue if you're interested in, especially if you're doing live shows. To actually have physical copies that people can walk away with is a great thing.
I mean, that's it. That's irreplaceable. I mean, that alone is irreplaceable. I mean, just the joy that you can put on some supporters, some listeners, or some concert goers' faces because they got your work in hand. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and if they've got it, they're gonna tell others, hey, I got this. So that's yeah, it costs you a little bit to put that together so you can hand that out, but the returns on that can be just so rewarding.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Hey,
Go
ahead.
Word of mouth. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a big deal. All right, Miami's Museum of Graffiti is headed to Austin for their first pop-up, so it's going to be running the entire month, I believe, but especially for South by Southwest. And so it's actually called the Art of Hip Hop, and their purpose is to highlight the work of graffiti artists, album cover artists, photographers, and logo designers who've helped to visualize the genre. So the pop-up offers daily graffiti classes and other elements from the pillars, including MCing, breakdancing, and DJing, which is great for the timing of hip-hop turning 50. And so if you happen to be in the Austin area or are traveling there, make sure you check that out.
Yes. Check that out. Please do.
All right, some K-pop news. We shared about Hybe and Kakao with their whole battle for SM Entertainment, and apparently that's over. So Hybe issued a statement that they're calling off their takeover bid that they started last month when Hybe bought 15% of SM Entertainment from K-pop pioneer Lee Suman, I believe that's how you pronounce it, who's now estranged from the company he founded. So, I mean, yeah, a little bit of drama in that, as we shared last week. It's been a lot going on, but now that Kakao has the upper hand, we'll have to see how this plays out. Because, they were going blow for blow. But for right now, SM Entertainment has kind of avoided the hostile takeover that Hybe was trying to commit. Yeah.
Things to make you say,
Mm-hmm. All right, the Orchard has acquired the dance and electronic music company Above Board because they're trying to expand their electronic music division. So, instead of building from the ground up, they decided to look at what's going on, what's hot, and just went ahead and snatched it up. And so now their artists are going to have access to the Orchard's global distribution and their artist and label services, which is a win for them because everybody knows how big the Orchard is. So the founder and managing director will continue to sign and actually develop talent for the label, which just adds to the Orchard's roster. So they're still letting them function as if they're independent, but now they've got a big piece of that pie.
The bigger the piece, man. I mean, the more you get out of it. So, hey, kudos.
Yeah. I mean, we always have acquisition news. It feels like so often. But, matter of fact, Metro Boomin, Shamrock Capital just bought his publishing catalog for almost $70 million. So, this is the age of acquiring. People kept talking about it slowing down towards the end of last year. Matter of fact, we shared some of those predictions, but the money's still coming in. They're still shelling it out. So just something to be aware of.
Mm. Okay.
Mhm. And Apple Music Classical will finally be available late this month. They've been talking about it for over a year, but it looks like it's finally going to go down. But they're offering the world's largest classical music catalog and thousands of exclusive albums. And so, yeah, now there'll be access to more than 5 million classical music tracks. So that's pretty huge. It's going to be interesting to watch how Apple Music Classical behaves, because with all this, new access and these exclusive features, they can charge a little bit differently for that. And I'll be interested to see how many other companies kind of follow suit. So as the information pours in, we'll make sure that we share it with you.
Yes, yes, yeah, absolutely, positively.
All right. And just like we were talking about how big vinyl was earlier, Metallica has acquired the vinyl record pressing company called Furnace. So it's a 70,000 square foot state of the art facility in Virginia, Alexandria to be exact. And they've produced more than 5 million vinyl albums just for Metallica since 2014. So, of course, they've got other customers, but man, that's a lot for one group. And so, of course, that includes like their deluxe collector's edition box sets and, all that other good stuff. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting to the fact that they did this, and I'll be watching to see what kind of comes of this and how it continues to operate. I believe that they're keeping at least 2 of the executives on in their own capacity. So yeah, Metallica saw an opportunity and snatched it up.
All I can say is kudos. I mean, that it's like, so to all of the young folks and older folks as well. All right, when you're in the studio or rehearsing or whatever, just the fact to keep a couple of buttons pushed just in case. Don't wait until you think you got it perfect to press the record button.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to keep them going. I mean, so as soon as you get in there, as soon as you start with the mute, press the buttons in, because the content just it just accumulates, and you don't know what hook, or you just never know just what's in there. And then later on you say, hey, remember that riff right there? Let's go back, and if that wasn't recorded, they say, well, what riff? Well, I forgot, gone. And so, I mean, it's so, like you're saying with Metallica, that's a lot of content.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you think you're talking to the listeners, but you're kind of talking to me too. I got to do better about hitting that record button sometimes, but yeah, great advice.
Well, I mean, and that's just a lot of content. It's just a lot of content. So, you got that content, and you keep it organized where you can reach back to this and that or whatever in whatever way. But man, Metallica, I mean, that's a lot of music.
It is.
And but it's got value.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, that says a lot. The fact they've used them for this long, and now they got a piece of the action. So yeah, like I said, it's going to be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to see how many people follow suit, and especially as popular as vinyl continues to be, and it's still growing. Yeah, that's a good investment. Very good investment.
Yeah, and just the other day I read a story about the progression from the original Technic 1200s to the CD players of the day with the buttons, with the buttons. Okay, and there was some art that was lost in the progression, whereas some of the old DJ equipment with the 1200s and so on and so forth, and the mixer and all that kind of stuff, whereas today, the scratching CDs is a whole lot different than scratching vinyl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let the buyer beware, and let the artist be aware also. Mm,
Yeah, most
so
definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, final news story. The Rolling Stones are facing a copyright lawsuit over their 2020 song Living in a Ghost Town. So, a songwriter says that the band appropriated key elements from the song from his original works, So Sorry and Seed of God, parentheses, Talent in the Trash. So, the Stones actually released this reggae influenced song, reggae influence slash blues rock, in the early part of the pandemic in 2020, and it was their first single in more than 4 years. And it's also the final original recording, supposedly, from the band that includes their late drummer, Charlie Watts. So, I mean, I personally haven't taken the time to check it out and see exactly what he's referring to. Although, since it was their first song in 4 years, there's definitely a possibility that maybe some elements were from other places, because this wouldn't be the first time that we've heard this. And the little guy is actually one, because people find the music someplace and think that it's okay to use it because the person might be lesser known, but hey, most of the time that's who's hungriest. So yeah, the indie artist who finds out that somebody famous kind of ripped off the song, of course they want to go for that, and it's probably not hard to find a lawyer that'll help you either. So I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that they did it. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out and keep you posted. But yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that it's happened.
Yeah, well, in an in an environment, a business environment where for decades and decades and decades and decades, music was stolen
Mm-hmm.
and reappropriated
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's name and so on and so forth. See, so you gotta, whether you're massive in your music or just a novice, you gotta keep it years old.
Absolutely. But I just shared a reel that I saw from Rock the Bells on Instagram, where Angie Stone was talking about the influence her group The Sequence had, and how many artists have interpolated some of the lyrics in their songs. And I mean, it's right there plain as day. Although, yeah, somebody was arguing on Facebook, LOL, nah, like, how could you not hear it? And her complaint was basically that so many people use it and don't give them credit for it. And it's really, it's crazy. But like we say, it happens all the time. You gotta keep your head on a swivel, man. Because, there's a famous quote that bugs me every time I see it. But it's like, you have to learn how to steal like an artist. Or they're saying the best thing is to like hide your sources. But in reality, there's people behind that can get hurt by, others doing that. So, yeah, it's a tough business. Actually, all businesses are tough, but yeah, especially the music business. Yeah.
Word to the wise.
Yeah, beware.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause from the cause, and then we'll return with our highlights from interviews with women that we've had on the show.
Okay. Oh, man, I'm interested.
Gipson from the Breeze team. How would you like to see an online platform that brings you people who've already indicated that they're interested in your particular type of business? Whether it's your music you're selling, hip-hop clothing, you got a restaurant or a cafe, or if you're an entrepreneur or agent for a business. Visit me at breeze2cheese.com. That's using the number 2, breeze2cheese.com, or click my bio link on my Instagram profile to see a live demo of how this can help you get more customers and make more money.
Hey, this is Achickwitbeatz. I am a multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit my website, achickwitbeatz.com, for resources for artists and instrumentals available in various genres for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwitbeatz.com, ACHICKWITBEATZ. Let's make something happen.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're glad to be here one more time. And this is a very, very special day right now because we're actually speaking with a young lady who is blazing her own trail all around the world. She's a world traveler, as a matter of fact, and visited many places. And so, without any further ado, we're going to bring her right on, and the one and only Achickwitbeatz. And we are just glad to have you. Achickwitbeatz, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay. And so share with our listeners right now, where are you, in what city and in what country?
Right now I'm in Italy. It's called Piacenza, the city. It's close to Milan, and it's a smaller city. And I came here to study music 10 or 11 years ago. And I'm originally from Turkey, Izmir. And Izmir is close to Greece on the Aegean Sea. So both Mediterranean cultures, let's say.
Hey, that sounds good. That sounds good. When you say Mediterranean culture, I think about foods, I think about views, I think about bodies of water, I think about mountains, I think about greenery, and so now you're going to give us a little taste of what the music culture is about there. That's really great. What do you think, Achickwitbeatz?
Man, I think it's awesome. I'm really excited, to hear about having the exposure to those cultures, even though, still Mediterranean, how that's affected you musically and how it's helped you grow.
Yes. Okay, so my music adventure started when I was really, really young, when I was 4 and 5 years old. And ever since, I've been experimenting with different music styles. Started with classical, but I always, listened to rock music at home growing up, also pop music. I also love rap music. And then I came to Italy. I majored in jazz, also modern music. So I have these different genres and different worlds. Also in 2 different countries, they're both Mediterranean, but they have many things in common with, the way of living, but the music is really different. I grew up more with Western music, not traditional Turkish music, but of course I'm familiar with it. And sometimes I use some really small details in my music. But the thing is, I've always been writing songs in English. And only recently I have started writing songs in Italian. So this is, news for me, and we'll see how it goes. So this is like the general mixture of my musical worlds, let's say.
That's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so you're touching so many different segments of the population, not only with the different genres, but with the locales. I mean, you're the first person that I've come across that is in such a diverse locale and having conversations and growth with so many. Okay, you touched on Turkey and close to the Aegean Sea and parts of Italy, close to Milan, and I mean there's a melting pot, especially with all the different genres that you mentioned. So I'd say that you're in rare air doing all of that, wouldn't you?
Thanks. It's something that I really like because I don't want to be limited with just one genre or one style. I think it's good to share, different cultures and put some elements together and share different things with different people. So that's kind of my, what inspires me the most about having different kinds of styles and everything.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's really good because, there's so many formulas that people use for popular music. And, okay, well, this chord plus this topic makes an instant hit. But, when you mention that about blending the different styles and not wanting to be stuck in one, that's the type of music that kind of sticks with you like long term, as opposed to just for that one evening that you may have been out when you heard it, or, whatever the case may be. So it's really exciting to hear you, using all of the cultural experiences that you've had and putting it together, to make something special and memorable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, for example, nowadays we hear that the music is becoming more like putting together things, as you said, the right chords, more like a formula. But I think it has to be something that really touches the soul. Yes. So, yeah, it's something that we shouldn't lose, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Agree wholeheartedly.
Okay, and so in the beginning, you mentioned some connections with rock or with soul, jazz, rapping, and so forth. So now, I mean, to me, that's extraordinarily great because at any given time, you could have any given type of flow to lead you in one direction or another. So can you share with our listeners, how would you describe yourself as far as your style, let's say 10 years ago versus your style right now today?
Yes, for sure. Okay, so 10 years ago, I was more, I have studied already classical piano, composition, and things like that, also modern music, but I was more trying to make I was learning how to produce songs, so it was more like, I think I need to make some pop songs, whatever was working in that period. And I had also different kinds of projects, but let's say my main career was more like that. But now that I also went through the jazz period and everything, and also my experiences, also some traveling and everything, I think that I like experimenting much more. I feel more bold, and I'm not afraid to do some super experimental stuff that might be weird for maybe general public, let's say, but it's worth it because they might also love it. So, I'm trying to do what I really, really love, and also what could help and inspire people. So I'm not only considering myself or what could be the secret formula anymore, but it's more like a wide point of view. I think this is the main difference. especially after this crazy period of the virus that hit Italy especially so hard. I think this year also changed me even more. So yeah, I think this is the main difference.
Good afternoon, evening, morning to all of our listeners one more again. And right now, I am just honored with this information I'm about to share with you right now. Joining us from many, many miles away across the water is the young lady who is blazing her own trail in her own way. And she is totally into music and totally into happiness. And so joining us right now on the show is the one and only Miss Rebecca Ling. Rebecca, are you with us?
Hi all.
Hi.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. How's everybody doing? Thanks for the wonderful introduction. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Got some international flavor, huh? Okay, we'll take
it. European and Asian.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully my English will be all right and understandable for everyone.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yes, it's just fine and dandy. And so I tell you what, I got some questions already.
Okay.
But ladies first, we're gonna let a chick with beats have the first question.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's just start from the beginning. Who is Rebecca Ling? Tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got into music.
Yes. I was born in Holland, in the north of Holland, and I grew up in a musical home. My parents both come from Indonesia, and they moved to Holland about almost 40 years ago, I think. And they got introduced to a small church, and they both already, like my dad plays drums, guitar, and my mom sings, or she used to sing a lot. And they were very involved in church activities and different events, choirs. And so actually I grew up listening a lot to gospel music, but also a lot of not only soul music, jazz, but also like the Beatles and like the great legendary bands, the Carpenters, also a wide range of music genres. So music was always a natural part of my life, and I come from a big family, like 5 children in total, and everybody plays an instrument or sings. So it wasn't something very. It was just a natural part of growing up, and so I started in different choirs, and later on, quite early, I started in different bands, or school bands, and later on, I actually noticed that really singing was my passion, because I did different instruments, also flute, but I noticed like singing I felt the most close to my nature to express myself. Like I was very shy when I was young, and I noticed when I was in my own world singing and practicing, then I felt the most powerful, so to say, or more, like in my own world. So, and later on it got more serious. So I moved to Amsterdam to study at the conservatory, and I used to do a lot of backing vocals for different artists, and like in the jazz and R&B scene. And during conservatory, I started writing my own material with musicians, and slowly I moved more to the front. Let's so creating is really it's what I love to do the most. So writing my own material, own songs, and that's it. Actually, that's how it started. And I have one debut album, Travel Light, which is on all the streaming services, and you can still download it. And after that, I released different music, like singles and different collaborations. And I'm working on new material. So end of this month, actually, there will be new music as well.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So now you said so many positive things in that opening statement. The first thing that comes to my mind I want to comment on is a question. Actually, so when you say you moved to Holland and so forth, now I'm thinking there are just fields and fields and fields and fields of tulips. Am I right or wrong?
Well, actually, I was born in Holland, but my parents they moved from Indonesia to Holland. So yeah, there's lots of tulips and beautiful like country. The countryside is, but it's a small country, you know, and we have you should see it for yourself one day. But it's so much, it's way different than America, of course. We don't, it's quite flat, but it's beautiful. It's a nice country. It is. It has
Well, I brought up tulips because tulips happen to be one of my favorite flowers. Okay, so I think,
wow.
Oh man, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then secondly, you mentioned concerning your parents in the church and you in the church and doing different activities and so forth and singing in various choirs and so forth. But then see, you alluded to listening to a little gospel music and so on and so forth. So many artists have that gospel in their heart. So many artists have that gospel in their past. Okay, and so as they start getting a little older, that gospel is some strong and delicious stuff, to me.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and also because you sing music that always has a message, so you're always aware of you have to really deliver it. And but of course other influences back then were Whitney Houston, of course, and but Donny Hathaway, Marvin Gaye. So of course it evolved to more Stevie Wonder. But I always, because I know I'm not really, I do have kind of my own sound in a way, because of course I don't sound like a how do you say, like a soul diva or something. It's quite mellow. It's my style.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Well,
you said correction.
So no, there's nothing but greatness. Nothing but greatness for you.
Thank you.
So I mean, I'm just happy. We are both happy that you are with us. So,
and I actually think it's pretty interesting with every single artist that you name. They all started in the church as well. So it's kind of funny how that just sticks to you and it comes out no matter what genre you're singing.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely. And another thing I noticed that stood out to me when you were singing, you basically said you kind of found your voice. You felt your strongest then. Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about, how that made you feel once you discovered, like, hey, this is definitely what I have to do. This is who I am.
Yeah, what for me is most important, or one of the important factors, is to always. It's not always that the songs are super happy or super up tempo or anything, but that there's some sense of a feel of hope, or of we're talking now lyric wise, of course, but how it felt, how I discovered my own style. Because I used to really sing with a kind of power voice, really strong, and I could do that, but I noticed I was just imitating a lot, and which is also fine in the beginning, of course. And I found out that actually to sing more close to more kind of intimate with a softer voice, or more speaking voice, like D'Angelo, for example, is also one great example.
All right, and that does it for this week's edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We thank you so much for joining us. Once again, we love having you here rocking with us, and a super huge shout out to our home stations, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio out of Denver, Colorado. And, it's been a blast. I'm already looking forward to next week.
Oh, yeah. It goes on and on and on and on to the break of dawn, and even then past that. So it's always something popping, right here on the Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. Oh, and matter of fact, make sure you check out Achickwitbeatz.com. There's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of work in there, a lot of availabilities in there for upcoming singers, professional singers, or upcoming artists, or professional artists. So either way, so check it out, because place to be.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And while we're at it, check out Breeze #2 Cheese. If you're looking for opportunities for investment, or you need a little legal help, he's got you covered. So artists, we always need money and legal help. So make sure you definitely check him out. That's breeze2cheese.com.
Whoa. Appreciate that.
All right. So till next time, you know where to find us. Tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. Peace.